Hello, lovelies. This is Lynn. Welcome, welcome. I wanted to do a reading today on President Biden and the cancer diagnosis that we all learned about yesterday, prostate cancer diagnosis. Um, I want to start out by talking about that diagnosis just a little bit. And I'm very familiar with it because my husband has the same cancer. He has a very aggressive form of prostate cancer, and he was diagnosed in 2014 with that. Um, that was, he had had a PSA, which is the prostate specific antigen blood test, done a couple years before that because my husband's father also had prostate cancer, and that's what he died from. The PSA, the first time he got it, had it taken, was high. It was like 13. And unfortunately, the doctor he saw did not refer him to a urologist right away. He thought it was just an enlarged prostate, and that was what was causing the high PSA. With my husband's history, family history of that type of cancer, that was probably not the best move the doctor could have made. Anyway, um, so the next time the PSA blood test was done, it was still high. So the doctor sent my husband to a urologist. The urologist did a biopsy of the prostate, and it turned out that all 12 of the biopsies came back positive. Hershey's here. Wouldn't be a reading without a Hershey, without a cat visit. Anyway, so the the test came back positive. My husband had the choice of either doing what's called brachyradiation therapy, where they put beads of radiation beads in the prostate, and pausing for a moment, got to deal with the cat. Okay, loves have been given to the cat. He was happy, he purred. Um, anyway, so my husband was diagnosed in 2014. The PSA was high. He had the um, biopsy. He had a choice between, at that point, between brachytherapy, which is radiation beads, basically injected into the prostate, and it destroys the prostate from the inside out. Um, or he could have a prostatectomy. And we opted for him to have the prostatectomy. With prostate cancer, it can be what's called in situ, which means that the cancer stays in the location where it started to grow, and then it breaks free from that barrier, if you will, and starts to grow around other structures in that area. So, for example, in my husband's case, um, it grew around some of the nerves, and it grew into the surrounding lymph node. And so all that also had to be removed. And then he was placed on, at first, injections, synthetic estrogen, and then moved to pill form. And now he takes two different pills of synthetic estrogen to keep his PSA levels low. It's been 11 years. Prostate cancer, even aggressive prostate cancer, can be controlled. Now, President Biden's prostate cancer was found later than my husband's. His cancer has already metastasized to the bones. And in this case, when prostate cancer metastasizes to bones, it's typically the low back, the lumbar region. So if you think about your spine, you have your neck, this is the cervical region. Then you have the torso where the ribs are, that's the thoracic region. Below that is the lumbar region. And then you have the pelvic bones, the sacrum, the ilium, your hip bones. The sacrum is kind of your the bigger butt bone. The lumbar region is where prostate cancer metastasizes to. I have a cat trying to play with a rock. Um, anyway, L5, the bottom lumbar, the one that sits right above the sacrum, is where prostate cancer typically metastasizes to first. And then, so that causes low back pain. And that is very likely what made him go get care for it, to get some tests done. What really surprises me though is that this hasn't been tested for with him in the past. He has the best of the best healthcare, and he has every test known to man done, and he had every test done while he was president. So I suspect that there was knowledge of this long before now. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. Sir, no. Okay, so I wanted to do a reading to see what President Biden is thinking about this and how he's, the emotions that go along with it. And there are a lot. There are a lot. I'm going to go off camera so you can see the cards a little better. I am using the Trishe Jaimes personal prediction oracles for this reading. So the synthetic hormones that they will be giving him will make a lot of progress. And that progress will be in place for a while. That medication may have to change. It may have to be layered. Multiple layers of medication may occur. The first probably 6 weeks after diagnosis, I would say are the hardest because of all the things that they have to go through. In my husband's case, he needed surgery. And so I'm so grateful that we were in a place where I could buy him a lift chair because I knew that getting up and off the bed from sleeping would be next to impossible for him to do because when they do the prostate surgery, I'm going to come back on screen for just a moment to describe this because apparently I can't do it without, involving my hands. Um, anyway, so when they do prostate surgery, that is done from the anterior, the lower abdomen area. And it is, in my husband's case, it was not a laparoscopic surgery. I don't know if they've made progress on that or not, whether that can even be done laparoscopically, but if a prostatectomy is the procedure that is done with President Biden versus the brachyradiation therapy, it's that the first those first 6 weeks are they're hard. They're hard. And if he does the brachyradiation therapy, same thing. It's different. It's certainly different, but it's still that first 6 weeks are really brutal. They're just, it's a lot to get through. So, okay, I'll go back off screen now and I'll finish the reading. So there will be good progress made with the medication, with the synthetic hormones. And I'll talk more about those synthetic hormones in just a minute. He is very tired. He's losing sleep from worry, but cancer it's just exhausting. It is exhausting. Again, I will talk more about that in a minute when I talk about the synthetic hormones. Sorry about that. I needed to make a couple notes to remind me of topics to talk about before I end this video, and I wanted to not do that while I was taking up your time. So another reason why President Biden is losing sleep and feeling a good deal of stress about this is that he is worried about Hunter and the rest of the family, but mostly Hunter. Hunter has a history of addiction, as we all well know. It has been very public. We've all heard about, if not seen, and thankfully I did not look because I don't want to know. Um, the pictures that Marjorie Taylor Greene showed on the congressional floor. I have thoughts about that I'll try to keep to myself, but just listen to the tone about what I'm talking about, and you can probably figure out what I think about her doing that. Anyway, so hunters, not just hunters, but most addiction. I don't know of anyone who has had a history of addiction. And I've known a lot of people with a history of addiction. Addiction is very often rooted in trauma. They don't have good coping skills to manage the trauma. And it may start off with a curiosity, and some substances will hook you from the very beginning, from the very first time you touch it. And even when you're not using that substance, it can be a lifetime of wanting it, even if it's been 20 years. So, understanding that Hunter has a history of addiction, very likely due to the trauma of losing his mom and his sister in a car accident early on, and surviving that car accident himself, and then losing Bo to brain cancer later. I believe, I could be wrong, so this is for entertainment purposes only, and allegedly, I believe that President Biden is very worried about Hunter and how he's going to get through this. And so he's very prepared. He's taking steps to make sure that everything is all the ducks are in a row. He'll have his power of attorney in place for medical decisions and financial decisions. He'll have his living will in place. He'll have his final will in place. That's all done. And I suspect that he is going to work on preparing Hunter for his passing. And one thing that stands out to me on this card is the butterfly in the background. Butterfly and dragonflies are transformative creatures. They represent transformation, and President Biden is certainly the kind of person who transformed not just our country, he transformed the whole world, but he also transformed his own family. And he's going to need our strength. He's going to need us to hold him up in love and light, and to give him it will take him through this journey. It will lift him to a height of knowledge of self-love and love for the humanity that he has never felt before. And I'm pleased for him that he will feel that love. And yes, there's going to be haters out there who will hate him. And hello, Taylor Swift song running through my head. Haters going to hate, hate, hate. And lovers are going to love, love, love. And I think that the love for President Biden is far bigger and far more powerful than the hate for him that exists in this world. He is a man who has always felt the abundance and prosperity in his life, and he does not define abundance and prosperity in money or possessions. His focus of abundance and prosperity are in all the love that he has in his life, all the things that he has accomplished and has great pride about, all the love. He makes those connections, the love for humanity, of not judging others for the life they have. That is an incredible gift. It is incredibly powerful. Ultimately, he's very at peace with whatever happens. He has accepted that he has this diagnosis. When it is his time to change form, to leave the physical body and go back to spirit world, he is okay with that. In the meantime, he will remain in a calm state of being. And that's what matters to him right now. Spending quality time with those he loves. That is his priority. Okay, so there were a couple things that I wanted to elaborate on from the reading. I talked about the synthetic hormones that he will be taking. It is synthetic estrogen that is generally given to this type of cancer, to patients with this type of cancer. My husband has synthetic estrogen as his medication, and let's just say that he and I went through menopause together. The side effect of the synthetic estrogen is menopausal symptoms, hot flashes, moodiness, weight gain, just all the fun things. And to say that those years have been interesting since then, since 2014, is an understatement at my house. So it'll be interesting to hear if that's ever comes up with President Biden and Dr. Joe. The other thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of the lost sleep and the fatigue card, cancer creates its own blood supply. So it pulls blood from other areas of your body, and that means the nutrients from other areas of your body that your body needs to function properly are going to the cancer growth. It's to help that cancer build. Cancer's a smart little critter. Smart little critter. There we go. And it is when somebody with cancer gets a PET scan, a PET scan, that scan is to look for blood supply that is in a location it should not be. And by that, I mean you have certain areas of your body that are major blood thoroughfares, if you will, the largest arteries, all the arteries of the body, and the veins and all that, and the heart, of course. So when a PET scan is done, it's looking to see, okay, is your liver, for example, that's an organ that gets a lot of cancer metastasis to it. Does it have an unusually high blood flow to it? So that's what's on that scan, is to figure out if there's a blood supply that's in a location that's abnormal. I think that was everything I wanted to talk about from my notes. So I do want to say that in terms of preparing, there are 4 documents that really everybody who is an adult should have. And I'm a believer that even young adults should have these documents in place, because you never know what life brings. You never know if there's going to be an accident, and especially if you have, like, if you own property or have children, these are documents you really want to have in place. One is medical power of attorney, a financial power of attorney, and I believe that's a durable power of attorney, but don't quote me on that. And you can combine those to make the same person the medical proxy to make medical decisions for you if you're incapable of it, and to make financial decisions for you if you're incapable of that. I've seen a lot of issues though over my lifetime with those, particularly the financial power of attorney and financial abuse of somebody who is either disabled or elderly. A lot of that goes on and it doesn't get a lot of attention because there's very little justice that occurs for it. So anyway, so the power of attorney, a living will of knowing what you want to have happen to your body. Do you want to be on life support? How long before they take you off life support? What support do you want? Do you want fluids and nutrition? Um, do you want a gastrostomy, which is the tube that they put into your stomach to bypass feeding you, and that food mush, really, it's really mush, goes directly into your stomach and you digest it and it goes from there. So there's a lot of things to consider when making a living will. And then your final will. What happens to your physical body when you go? If you have children, especially those that are young children, what happens to them? Who's going to care for them? Um, any property you have, how will that be distributed among your heirs, if you have any? So there's much to consider, but these are really important documents. And a lot of that can be found online, either for free or low cost. Make sure that you have them correctly signed. Some it's just signing in front of a notary public. Some you have to have a notary and witnesses that are not relatives. So be sure you have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed properly with your documents if you proceed this way. Alrighty, that is, gosh, it's a lot. um, Another lecture from Lynn. And I will leave it there. Please know that you are made of magic and stardust. Nope, you're made of stardust and magic. I'm gonna write one of these days. You're far more powerful than you realize, and you are profoundly loved. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. And if you have not already done so, I hope you consider looking into those 4 documents, the 4 legal documents. All right, that's all I have. Take care. Bye now.